Hi guys, so we're in the 8th day of this YouTube training, and today we're going to be talking about a whole different thing, right? Yesterday we talked about trading plan, right? So that was one of the non-chart aspects of trading, right? If you ask me, trading is divided into three, right? Trading is divided into three compartments. Here, the first part is what we call the technicals, right? Right, they have the technicals, right? We have, the emotional part, and that has to do with psychology. Let's say psychological part, right? All right, so whenever you're trading, you should always pay attention to what? The psychological part. And the psychological part talks about your plan, right? Your mental game, right? Your rules, your trading plan, and all of that, right? Of course, we have fundamental, right? But we're not talking about analysis now. We're talking about the two things that you should put in place. Whenever you want to trade, there are two things you should always have at your fingertips. Right? Your technicals, that is your analysis, and then your um, psychological game, right? Your trading plan and all of that, right? So if you don't have a trading plan, please do want to watch the last video and then do something about having a trading plan because it's very, very important, right? So if you're watching this video for the first time or you're just, coming across my YouTube channel for the first time, my analytics say that most of my viewers are not subscribed, about 70%. So please also help me to click on the subscribe button so that I can know that these videos are being valuable to you, right? It's not nice to be watching the videos and you don't subscribe because number one, you're not encouraging me, and number two, there's no way I can know there's no way I can know if you really like the channel. So if you really like the channel, do what to click on that subscribe button, like this video, drop a comment, because when you drop a comment, it helps the video to fly, right? The algorithm is told that the video is worth watching, right? So just drop a comment, just make sure that you support the video. Of course, share with your friend. If you have a friend that that is into trading and would love to learn more, this is a free training, so do what to share the link with your friend, right? So today we'll be talking about single candle order blocks, right? Single candle order blocks, right? Single candle order blocks. Right now, when this topic of order blocks, right? Many people see order blocks in different ways, right? There are different interpretations to order blocks, right? Some people see order blocks from the perspective of the last red candle, like they look at the candle color, right? They look, okay, this is the last blue candle, this is the last black candle, all of that, right? Some people see order block from the standpoint of what? The candle that sweeps liquidity. Like for instance for instance, if you look at these two candles now, if some people are asked to mark the order block, they will say that this is the last candle. He said this is the order block. That's what people will say. Some people say this is the order block because this is the last blue candle, right? Why some people say that this is the order block because this is the last candle. Like some people say that this up one is the last candle, right? Some people will say no, the order block is this one. This is a refined small one here, right? So people have different interpretations of order blocks, right? So I'm not here to say that I'm not here to say that they are all wrong and I am right, right? We all have different perspectives of the market and different interpretations of price action, right? What may look bullish to person A may look bearish to person B. What may look A plus to person B may look not worth it, may not be worth it to person C. So we all see in parts, right? So I want to talk about order blocks from my standpoint, right? From the single candle standpoint, right? So now, what do I mean by single candle order blocks, right? This is one aspect of it or one perspective, right? I'm not, once again, I'm not saying that other people are wrong. I'm not saying that because obviously before they could make it a strategy, it gave some kind of proof, right? So for me, this is how I see order blocks when I'm looking at the single candle perspective. So now this is an order block. So now a single candle order block is what? A candle that sweeps the low of the previous candle, or if it's bullish, of course, I mean the high. So this is what I call a single candle order block. A candle that sweeps the low of the previous candle and then pushes what bullish, right? We call that what a single candle order block, right? So now when you're marking the order block, you're going to be marking this one, this candle that swaps this is what we call the single candle order block, right? A candle that sweeps liquidity and then reverses price the opposite direction. We call it what? A single candle order block, right? Now, this order block is valid once price closes above it. And so once price prints this order block and now market now close above it, automatically we cannot extend to the high of the candle. If the candle has a high, let's say maybe the candle has a small wick up here, right? If the candle has a wick, so you want to extend your high to it. So you mark the high of the candle. Right, that's how you mark a single candle. So you mark the high of the candle. If there's no wick, maybe it's just a body, right? Then you mark the body of the candle. So it depends on the candle. If it has a high, you mark the high. If it doesn't have a high, you mark the wick, right? So it's just up to you, right? So this is what they call a single candle. Now, this single candle block is characterized by two things. Number one, it sweeps liquidity, and then number two, it pushes price the opposite direction. Now, note another thing. Now, this single candle blocks has the ones that are high probability and the ones that are not high probability. The ones that are high probability are the ones that create an imbalance in between here. That means for you to be very sure that a high probability single candle order block has printed, you want to see the market make some kind of imbalance here, right? Then if the imbalance is made, then you want to expect price to come back to the candle to tap in before moving higher. So there should be some kind of imbalance here after the candle is printed. But of course, sometimes you will not see any imbalance here and price will just still come back there. Right, that is still okay. But most times you would like to see an imbalance before the candle to tell you that the candle is what is it has velocity, right? It has liquidity, right? It has intent, right? So just note that. So it's not compulsory that there must be an imbalance above the candle, right? But when you see an imbalance above the candle, it makes it more probable to go in your direction, right? So of course, the reverse is the case if you annotate this to the opposite direction. So of course, this candle sweep liquidity and then move the opposite direction. So you must not always see an imbalance there. You mustn't necessarily see an imbalance there, right? Once price closes below the candle, it becomes what? A single candle order block, and then price can come back in the future, right? It must not even be that far. It can just be somewhere here. Price can just come back to tap it and then move lower, right? And of course, if you see an imbalance, right, it's more high probability, right? If you see an imbalance, it's more high probability, right? So that is basically how I see single candle. And this is one concept I use a lot. It helps you to know where to refine your entry, right? So now let us identify single candle order blocks from our charts. Now, looking at the charts now, remember what I told you guys. Let's start from here. All right, so let's start from here. All right, let's look at this. So you can see an example of what I'm talking about. So look at this. This is a 30-minute chart on the NASDAQ. Without even use EURUSD. So right, so can you see it? So you can see this candle. What happened there? You can see this candle swept the low of the previous candle. So you can see that liquidity sweep. And now what happened? You mark the whole candle. So this is the high of the candle here. So that's a single candle order block, right? Can you see it? How price came back nicely, tapped into candle what ran away. And this one was high probability. Why? Because there was an imbalance, right? So this kind of candles, this kind of order blocks that have imbalance makes it very high probability, right? That's a single candle order block. Right, look at another single candle order block here, right? So you can see how this already moved. So you're using the last candle before the imbalance. So this is the last candle, right? Before this big candle, they made an imbalance. So you can just simply say this is my single candle order block, right? Although it did not hold, right? It didn't hold much. Price tapped in and then pushed above and still came back down on all of that, right? But you can see how price was reacting at that point. You can see how price was finding it difficult to break through easily, just wicked above and then still close below it, right? So that's what we call a single candle order block, right? A single candle order block, right? Now, look at this example here. Now, you can't call this, although this is a single candle order block, like this is one, because you can see how price clear liquidity and then was pushed above it and closed above it. But then there's no imbalance in this kind of scenario. So to refine your entry, right, you have to move your this is not a good example. Let's just skip that because this is let's use a currency pair because currency pairs are usually cleaner with this kind of things, right? So let's use a currency pair, right? The Euro USD. We're using Nasdaq before, so I think we'll just keep to a from 5 minutes charts. So we want to see more candles, right? Right. So that is it. So yeah, you can see more candles now. So can you see it? Last candle, swept liquidity and what pushed down. And if you are on my YouTube, if you are my Telegram community, you know that I call this sell, right? So you can see how this is a very nice one. You can see how it pushed above and then what you can see the imbalance after the candle was printed. That was called a single candle order block. The last candle that has this and then all of that. Right now, know something. Let me point out something. Now, remember, now someone will ask me that, sir, this is the last candle before the ember. So someone might ask me, why didn't you use this last candle? Why didn't you use this one? The reason why I didn't use one is because this one did not go above the high of the previous candle. Remember I told you that the single candle order block must go above the high of the previous candle and then must make an imbalance. But not always. It might not make an imbalance, but usually for you to consider it as high probability, you want to see an imbalance print, right? And they cannot call it what? Your single candle what? Order block. So you're going to be using this bigger candle because this candle was inside this candle. Now look at another example here. Look at the single candle order block here, right? Can you see how it swept the low of the previous candle and then was pushed above? So now, one thing about single candle order blocks is that the color does not matter. That means the color can be anything. It could be blue, it could be green, it could be red, any color. Look at another single candle order block here. Look at this. Last candle, swept liquidity and then what pushed above. So this is another example of a single candle of this one here. So the color of the candle does not matter. When it comes to single candle order blocks, the color of the candle doesn't matter. Whether it is red or blue, doesn't matter. Just understand the whole concept of what sweeping liquidity and what reversing to the opposite direction. And a plus is when it makes an imbalance. That plus sign is when it makes an imbalance, right? That's what we usually like to see. Now look at another example of a single candle order block. Look at this. Can you see how this candle what swept liquidity and what made an imbalance? So this is what we call it a single candle order block, right? This whole candle is a single candle order block. And then if market comes in the future, we can expect price to react from it in the future. If price comes back in the future, we can expect price to what react from it. So this is what we call a single candle order block. The color of the candle is not important. Just understanding what the market is doing. Is it giving you what you like to see? Right? Once it gives you what you like to see, then you can use it for a single candle order block, right? Now let's look at this example now. Now look at this. Now, someone will ask me, sir, is this a single candle order block? No, it's not. Remember what I told you that this candle has to be the highest candle. So you can't use this candle. Why? You can't use this blue candle, this green candle. Why? Because it's not the highest candle here. The single candle block has to be the highest candle before the imbalance. Now, how do we classify this? Since this small candle is inside the big candle, that means that our single candle order block is what? This one. So this now becomes what? Our single candle order block. Why? Because this candle was pushed above the previous high of the candle, and then what? You can see this big move to the downside. So now this bigger candle now becomes what? Your single candle order block. That is how we do it, right? So we always look at which one is the last one that swept liquidity and made some kind of imbalance after you can see some impulsive movement, right? We call that what the single what candle order block. Look at this one now. See this. Can you see how price is reacting from this? Can see how this market closed and then we can say it pushed above, closed above it. So as price closed above it, although there was no imbalance here, remember I told you guys, there doesn't always have to be an imbalance. Remember I told you, there must not always be imbalance. So this is your single, you mark this whole candle, this is your single candle order block here because you can say I swept below the previous candle, then it's closed above. Once price close above it or close below, you have a single candle order block. So for just a plus is when you see an imbalance. But if there's no imbalance, it's still valid, right? It's still a valid one if there's no imbalance. But for high probability, you love to see the ones with imbalances, right? So that is it. This is still a now. Someone asked me, why didn't you use this small candle? This candle, watch this. This candle is inside this big candle, right? So it has to be the candle that suits liquidity. You cannot use an inside candle. Look at this. See this. This is a candle high and low. So this candle was inside it. So you can't use it. You can't also use this green one because this green one was also inside it, right? So you're wrong if you use a green candle. Right? So the best candle to use was the candle with the biggest body or the biggest range before they push up. So you can see how price pushed above and then close above it. So this is how you can use this as your point of interest. So if you have a trade now, you can use this as your entry. You can use it for your entry. Right? You can use this for your entry or your POI, right? So you can use this particular concept as your entry or your POI, right? So if you want this for entry on a lower time frame, of course you can use for your entry. You can use as your lower time frame entry. So I've taught you guys a lower time frame entry. You can use it for a lower time frame entry, and you can use it as a higher time frame was point of interest. Maybe you have your POI or area of interest, right? Area of rejection, area of supply, right? So you can use that as a supply. And of course, you can also use that as what your supply demand zone. Right? You can use this as a supply or demand zone. You're very correct. So, right, so you can use it as a supply or demand zone. So this is a very good concept. You can use that supply or demand. You can use it as what your entry. You can use it as your high time frame POI. So it depends on the time frame you see it. So it's on the daily time frame. You can use it as what your high time frame POI. So on the lower time frame, you can use it as your entry, right? So anyhow you do it, you're still correct, right? That is how single candle doubles are used. Either use as your entry, use as whatever you feel like using it, and you're very, very free to do that, right? It's very, very free to do that. You're very, very okay with that, right? So it's very, very important that you do it, that you understand that, right? So this is where I'll be wrapping up to this video. I want you guys to just take a little assignment for me. Now, identify what this single candle order block, right, as a higher time frame POI, and then as what a lower time frame entry. So you can identify where price came to it as what as a high time POI, maybe on the daily chart, where price came to a daily single order block and then rejected. So mark that one, and then mark maybe 5 minutes charts where it was used as an entry. So let me just specify the time frames. So now let's use once the assignment will be very easy for you. So use daily to identify the higher time frame POI. Of course, you can't take trades on daily time frame. The use was 15 minutes for what your lower time frame entry. So just look for an example where price came to a daily POI and hit it and then rejected. And where price came to a 15 minutes single candle order block and but move away from there. So that's your assignment for today. So locate a single candle order block and then identify where price used as a POI and where price used as what an entry, right? As a POI and as an entry. So identify it and send it on Twitter. I'll be picking I'll be going through your assignment, right? So tomorrow we are going to go into more of this kind of stuff, right? Because tomorrow we're going to talk about the ICT power of 3, right? So we're going to now be going to deeper concepts. So once again, if you have not liked this video, please do to like, subscribe, hit the subscribe bell, so you can get more videos, right? So don't forget to do these assignments. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's training. Have a wonderful day. Cheers and God bless.